Hey everybody, welcome back to Challenged Athletes Live. My name is Bob Babbitt. Our next guest, Sarah Bettencourt, gold and silver medalist in adaptive surfing world championships. How you doing, Sarah?
I'm great. Thank you so much for having me.
So growing up, what were your sports as a little girl?
Oh man, I did everything, anything and everything outside. So I did surf recreationally. I was the only female on my high school hockey team, ice hockey team. I played soccer and softball. I dabbled in lacrosse a little bit, tried mountain biking, pretty much everything that there was out there, snowboarding, skiing, water skiing. I just loved it all. Anything else?
Now, was the military always something that you were leaning towards?
So funny story.
Yeah.
No, my husband is my high school sweetheart, and I chased him for like 2 years through high school until he finally agreed to go out with me.
Wait. You chased him? You chased Matt?
I chased Matt. We met, believe it or not, in the band hallway of high school freshman year. Neither of us played band, but that's where we met. And every single morning we would both go down to the band hallway to flirt with each other. And we did that for 2 years. And we were dating other people and never told each other we liked each other, I guess. And finally I broke down and I asked him out and he agreed. But anyway, he was in the JROTC, junior ROTC program at our high school.
Yeah.
And I would stand at the top of our school that had multiple stories. And I would stand at the top and look down in the atrium and watch him spin rifles in his uniform. And I knew nothing about the military really. So I would make fun of him all the time. Well, during the summer, I worked on a fishing charter boat down in Ocean City, Maryland. And I brought Matt to come with me and go fishing. And he met the captain of the boat. And my captain was asking us where we are applying to colleges. So Matt said, Naval Academy, Air Force Academy, all the academies. And I had told my captain, I'm applying for MIT and Stanford and the technical schools.
Yeah.
Well, my captain looked at me and said, good, because you would never make it through an academy anyway. You shouldn't even bother applying. So that is a challenge. I learned more about the academy. I applied to them. I got in, Matt got in, and we both went to the Naval Academy same year. And it was the best experience. I'm so glad that my captain challenged me essentially to go.
Well, and then you still went to Stanford, right? You got your master's in science, mechanical engineering at Stanford. So you sort of.
But it's cool because I didn't realize that is my personality. I'm very much a Marine. I'm very much a standardized person. I'm a rule follower. I like structure. But I also like the element of surprise and adjusting to a challenging environment. So I'm very much a Marine. Everyone can kind of tell with my personality when they hang out with me. And it really fit. It really worked. So I went Marine Corps Aviation and my husband Matt went Navy Aviation out of the academy. We kind of traveled all over the country together. And here in San Diego was the first time we really were able to live together.
So helicopters, is that something pretty quickly? You're like, I want to fly choppers?
Yes. As soon as I was learning more about the different platforms and the different opportunities I would have in the military. And there's something about a helicopter. One, just the crazy aspect of how it flies and defies gravity. I mean, you have the main rotor spinning and everything else is to counterbalance the torque caused by the main rotor to keep it in the air. It is an aerodynamic mystery that I absolutely love. It requires a lot of skill and precision because you're normally lower to the ground, which makes you feel like you're going faster, even if jets are going faster, but they're way up high. So, the relative speed, it's much more fun to be low, flying at, 200, 150, 200 knots, like 50 feet above the ground. So it's awesome. And then having the crew. That's the other thing I really wanted. I wanted to be a leader. I wanted to have a crew in the back. I wanted to go out there and be that close air support for the Marines that were fighting on the ground.
So 2008, you're training to fly helicopters. And you could just tell that something was wrong?
So I started losing the ability to tune the equipment in the helicopter. I was losing feeling in my left hand and I could no longer grasp the small buttons that controlled the radios, that controlled the navigation equipment. I went and saw my flight doc. They said, oh, don't worry, it's a pinched nerve. It'll come back, you're fine. And then one time I'm out flying. I have a crew in the back. I'm still training, but I do have a crew in the back. And all of a sudden our engine goes and starts to die. So I'm going through my emergency checklist, engine failure, no problem. And I look down and my left hand, like a motorcycle throttle, was turning off the fuel flow to my own engine. Didn't even know because I was losing control of it. So I fixed it, kept flying. We were going to land on a boat, entered the landing pattern to land on the boat, and went to descend. Nothing happened. Let out more collective, nothing happened. And I looked down and my hand was I lost so much control of it that was no longer on the collective, which is the flight control. It was in my seat harness trying to move. Turns out I have lesions of inflammation in my brain that cause the corresponding parts of my body to stop working properly. So what that means is essentially anytime, anywhere, anything can stop working, whether it's my hand, my eyes, I could have seizures, I could stop being able to talk or breathe or move. And those can be transient, which means my brain recovers, or they can be permanent, which means it's permanent brain damage in those areas and I lose that function permanently. So
a couple of things. You've got one, when you're part of the Corps, that's a family, right? Plus, you and your husband are connected through military. How hard was it for you to face this? What was the lowest point of all of this?
It was a stepping stone. No, I take that back. It was like a water slide spiral down effect. So I mentioned that I never really thought I was going to be in the military, but it's always been a childhood dream of mine to become an astronaut. And ever since I was in elementary school, my parents had those books, What Do You Want to Be When You Grow Up? It was always mechanical engineer, astronaut. And I was on that path. I mean, mechanical engineering, top of the class, Stanford University, top of everything in flight school. I was going to go to test pilot school. I was going to become an astronaut. That was my dream. And my lifehood dream was taken away. Then, as you said, the Marine Corps is your family. It's your brethren. It's your brotherhood. Everyone understands. Everyone gets it. They're there for you no matter what. They've seen you in the worst of times and the best. And then they were stripped away. And then for me, I felt as though everything I've been done, I love serving. I love helping people. I love making a difference, being a part of something bigger. And I went from doing that to nothing. So all in one day when I was retired, I lost my family. I lost myself. I lost my sense of service to others and my place in the world. And I also lost my dreams. And I had no idea how to get it back. I'm a smart person. I applied to go back to school to get my PhD. I applied for jobs. I applied to volunteer. And I was such a liability because my symptoms were so severe and so random. I never knew when I was going to have a seizure. I never knew when I was going to be blind. So I was too much of a liability for anything. And then I was left pretty much at home. And I'll tell you one of the darkest hours, my husband, Matt, was deployed with the Navy. He was on an aircraft carrier out doing his thing. He didn't really know the severity of my symptoms. I didn't want to bother him. I mean, he had to focus on his mission and his people. Like, I wanted him to focus on that. But there were times where I was at home and I was stuck. I lost the ability to move one time from about the chest down. And I was home by myself. I low crawled, pulled myself through the house into the bathroom and up and into my tub. And I laid in my tub for, I can't even tell you how many hours, because I knew that was a safe place where I could drink water. I would always make a mess because I lost control of all my body, right? So the mess was contained. If I passed out or had a seizure, it was relatively safe and contained. So I laid in that tub until I was able to get more control back, which was a very long time. And it was all because I didn't know that there were resources out there. I didn't know how to ask for help. I was a Marine. I am a Marine, adapt, overcome, figure it out. You've got this. Like I couldn't ask for help. I didn't even tell my neighbors. I would go without food and water because I couldn't reach anything if that happened. I didn't have a wheelchair at that point. I thought it was all a weakness. So I crawled. I crawled all over the place because I didn't want to appear too weak to have to use a walking aid. So that was the lowest point by far.
And in terms of, what did the doctors tell you in terms of any type of treatment? And when I hear cerebral inflammatory disorder, that seems a little nebulous. You think? Like sort of like It can be anything. I can lose my vision. I can use my ability to walk. I can lose anything at any time. And wait, there's nothing you can do to predict any of this? As a Marine, as an engineer, you got to be thinking, what the hell? You got to toss me a bone here. Toss me something.
Yeah, no, that's been it was one of the toughest parts at first. And the doctors, they did their best. The problem is that my symptoms were always changing. So my thyroid would stop working. They'd try thyroid medicine. I'd then have seizures. They'd give me seizure medicine. I'd then lose the ability, I'd have bad muscle spasms, or I'd lose the ability to move. So they would try to do medicine for that. And they were treating the symptoms, but those parts of my body worked just fine. It was the brain. And so finally I said, actually it was my husband. My husband was seeing the side effects of all these meds, and I was becoming very depressive, a little bit, not necessarily suicidal, but I was like running away and fighting, and it was just not a good situation. And so he pulled the plug. He said, hey docs, stop treating the symptoms. You need to treat the issue, which is the brain and these lesions. So we tried for about 1.5 years to find a lesion that was amenable for biopsy, but they were so far in the brain that they would have to go through like the visual cortex or the motor cortex to get to it, which would have a very high risk of me losing those permanently. So we never got a sample of the brain, and we really don't know what it is. My blood looks like lupus. My brain looks kind of like MS, but not really like MS. Some of my muscles kind of look like mitochondrial disorders. So it's very weird. It's very random. The doctors, it's really a working diagnosis. I don't have an official diagnosis right now. Some doctors say I might have, I might be one of 40 people in the world who has something that they think it is. Some other doctors think it's under this other umbrella of they're finding more and more autoimmune disorders that are neurological in nature. And so there's this big umbrella that they think it might be under. Regardless, the good news is I finally found a great team of docs who believed that, like I do, that your lifestyle can really help your body, because really our bodies are miracles. They're amazing. And especially the mind. I mean, if you're strong mentally, you can really overcome a lot of things. And so I worked with a great team of doctors. I changed my diet, I changed my lifestyle, and since then I've been able to really manage my symptomology a lot better. I also became a lot less stubborn and I recognize now, okay, I'm starting to get tired. I'm starting to not be able to find the words. Great, I'm about to have a seizure. Let's lay down and take a break before that happens. So I'm stopping myself before the symptoms get as bad as they used to.
So in 2013, your first sports experience, right? You get on a hand cycle, right? A recumbent bike for the first time. And then going back to your roots, because you were a hockey player and you were a surfer, you get into sled hockey, and you made the US sled hockey team 5 weeks after having your first kid?
Yes.
What the hell?
I call my kids my good luck charms. So I had just started the San Diego Ducks sled hockey team.
You created that.
I founded it here in San Diego. I wanted to give this opportunity. Once I found adaptive sports, I wanted to give that opportunity to others. So I started sled hockey here in San Diego since we didn't have it. And a couple months in, I became very blessed, but pregnant with my first son. But that's not going to stop me. I mean, I had to keep training. So I stayed on the ice as long as I could. I mean, I had a big old belly with like padding around it so pucks wouldn't hit my kid. And I was training. And yeah, five weeks. We flew to Maine with Tyler in tow. He was 5 weeks old. And I tried out made the US women's sled hockey team. So that was awesome. That was really proud of that. And then interesting story, and this is how it's all a small world. My sled hockey coach is the one who told me about the adaptive surfing clinic that CAF was a part of at the ISA World Adaptive Surfing Championships. So my sled hockey coach is the one who said, hey, you need to go to this. And I didn't know about adaptive surfing. I was still getting in the water, but with my old boards, I wasn't really catching anything because I didn't know how to adapt it properly. And at that clinic is where I met my mentor, Christian Otterberg. Yep. He is awesome.
Legend.
He's legend, and yeah, he's amazing. So
he's like, oh, use my board.
Yeah, he did. He's like, here, use my board. I was like, okay. And it was so fun. I mean, they had to like drag me. They're like, hey, the clinic's over. I'm like, cool, I'm good.
We're fine. We're going to stay out here for another couple hours. We're fine.
So I kept surfing and came out. And that's when Christian and Greg said, hey, you need to try out for the US surfing team. I was like, okay. And so I gave birth to Kyle, my second son, and 4 weeks after that one. So about a month later, I had just gotten cleared by the docs to start getting in the water again. Everything was healed back up. And so I really hadn't had any practice surfing. And I went to the Worlds. That was 2019.
19, when you get the silver.
That's the silver. Yep. So I earned silver there. But that wasn't good enough. I wanted that gold.
And how cool, if you think about it, after that, the world shut down. I mean, seriously, that was like March 11th, 12th, 13th, right around that time. Nothing happened after that. And you win a gold medal in basically the last event that you possibly could win anything at.
Exactly. And it was insane because we were in this little bubble at Worlds. I mean,
Yes.
it was so many nations there. I can't even remember, 29 nations, something like that. And they were all there. We were still, I mean, we weren't hugging and touching like we normally do, but we were still giving shakas and we were hanging out at the beach and cheering each other on. And out in the world, things were like collapsing and shutting down. And next thing I know, after our closing ceremony, it was like, wow, this is happening. And yeah, it was crazy, but I'm really thankful that we were able to finish it and still see it through.
So when you were going through everything you're going through, did the doctors told you that you might not be able to have children?
Oh yeah. I mean, it was pretty bleak prognosis because my body was shutting down. Right. And very degenerative disorder. I was going to lose the ability to pretty much do anything and everything. I mean, if I didn't, and now even to this day, if I don't follow my lifestyle routine to a T, I mean, I'm bedridden, can't move, can't talk, can't move, bedridden. But as long as I do what works for my body and I listen to it and I take care, yes. So I'm very thankful. I found another great team of docs for the OB side, the child side, and we worked with them to make sure that I was able to have 2 very healthy children, natural pregnancies. So thankful for that. And yeah, that's now my world.
So what has CAF and Operation Rebound brought to you?
Oh, wow. So many things. So personally, just for me personally, CAF has helped me with my competition expenses for both sled hockey and surfing. And not only that, but they introduced me to adaptive surfing, which I can't thank enough because it was at their clinic that this all started. And I was really able to take off. But they've also lent me tons of boards. So I can try different styles of prone surfboards, figure out what dimensions, what shape worked for me. So that when I can go get my own boards, but they let me borrow boards for months, and then I would change them out and try different things and change fins. It was really incredible. But it's even beyond that. I love growing adaptive sports, and I feel as though I'm a spokeswoman for especially female participation in not only sled hockey, but also adaptive surfing. And I promote it worldwide. And so for me, I'm able to see my teammates and my friends receive grants from CAF to help them achieve their dreams, to help them get that piece of equipment that they wouldn't otherwise be able to go. And now I'm watching them grow into their sport, watching them get better, and I'm competing against them. But I love that because that's what we need. That's what's going to make me better. That's what's going to make Team USA better. And ultimately, what's going to really help everyone get through any obstacle and make their lives even better. So for me, CAF and Operation Rebound, it's not just about my personal grants. It's about watching everyone else receive theirs and be able to join in all the different programs and all the different activities for them to pursue their goals. And me standing back and watching that happen, it makes me speechless. It brings me so much joy that I'm just very thankful to be a part of it and to be able to watch it happen right before my eyes.
The cool thing is we've got adaptive surfing going in the Paralympics, either 2024, 2024.
2024.
2024. And I'm sure a lot of people are like, oh, hey, Sarah, you're going to be too old to go for the Paralympics to 2024, which is that's exactly what people need to do to get you going, wait, you're telling me I can't do something? I think I'm going to France and I'm going to show you that I'm not just going to go, but I want one of those gold things on my neck.
That's right. That's right. I do have sights on 2024 for parasurfing, and 2026, I am also helping to grow women's para ice hockey, which is what's known for sled hockey worldwide. So we can try to get that into the Paralympics for 2026. So that's my goal. My goal is summer in 2024, winter in 2026, 2 gold medals. Boom.
Oh, love it. Love it. Sarah, thank you so much for being, what a great representative of CAF and Operation Rebound you are. Your journey from the lowest of not knowing what your body is doing, your body shutting down, and look what you've done. You've gone from the dark to the light and turned what was a horrific time in your life into something so positive.
Thank you. Well, I couldn't have done it without Adaptive Sports, without CAF, without everyone else out there just being supportive and saying, hey, we can do this. Just adapt the equipment, figure it out. You might have to do it differently, but we can do it. And that's my message really to everyone is you can accomplish your dreams, and you can do anything you want to do. You might have to do it a little differently, but you can do anything you want to do.
People underestimate the power of sport. We know that it changes lives every single day, and you are a living, breathing example. Sarah Bettencourt has been our guest on Challenged Athletes Live. Thank you, Sarah, for taking so much time. Wonderful to chat with you.
You too. Thank you so much.
Tune in next time, everybody. Thanks so much for tuning in.